Woman murdered, chopped and boiled. Her body parts cooked, fed to stray dogs. Chilling Shraddha murder rerun. Decoding a murder most foul on 5 Live.
It's only been 3 months since we began reporting the Shraddha Walkar murder case earlier this year. It's a story that broke here on India Today, and you saw how for 2 weeks non-stop that case was covered. Today is day 1 of the murder of Saraswati Vaidya, 36 years old, a young woman who was living with an older man in Mumbai, similarly chopped up, similarly her body parts stored and then disposed of by her partner. Are we going to see the same kind of coverage? Is it going to instill the same kind of horror and revulsion as it did in the national media for weeks together? Well, we'll have to wait and see. Today is day 1, and once again a story that India Today broke, forcing the entire media to sit up and report it. We're going to tell you that story. First, the headlines. Ghaziabad online conversion racket gets murkier. Minors shown Zakir Naik videos to radicalize them. Sensational chats emerge. Big India Today investigation. Minister Jaishankar lashes out, says India cannot understand why Canada gives space to terrorists and extremists. Congress condemns Indira Gandhi assassination tableau in Canada. China sets military infrastructure across the border from Uttarakhand. Super-fast infra build-up by China once again. After Ladakh and Arunachal, Uttarakhand sector is next. The man behind the worldwide rage, ChatGPT, and CEO of OpenAI, Sam Altman, meets Prime Minister Modi, speaks exclusively to India Today, says ChatGPT is less trustworthy than anyone on the planet. New York City covered in orange haze and smoke after uncontrolled wildfires burn in Canada. Stay indoors advisory issued in New York City. The shocking murder of a young woman is not something we're unused to in this country. Even grisly details of shocking murders of young women. But this one is the latest, and once again it bears the telling of it in detail. A young woman named Saraswati Vaidya, in her 20s or 30s, we cannot be sure, but younger than the person she was living with, was brutally murdered, dismembered, and her body parts cooked in a pressure cooker by her live-in partner. That's the man you see on your screen there. He was 56 years old, and his name is Manoj Sani. The murder...
He was inspired by the Shraddha Walkar case, and he was actually following this case. But this is something to the next level. After chopping the body parts, and let me tell you, this is very gruesome, chilling details which we are sharing on India Today. We have access to the exclusive copy of FIR copy as well. It clearly says that from head to toe, the body was chopped into pieces and then it was put in the pressure cooker so that the flesh and the bones get separated and the blood comes out, and therefore it gets very easy to dispose of the body. Now what Manoj is telling cops that the woman Saraswati Vaidya committed suicide by consuming poison, and therefore to dispose of the body he did all this thing. But police are not buying his claim. Entire body parts which are recovered by the police official is sent to the JJ hospital, where a team of special doctors will be examining the body. Now the next thing is to question the accused who is highly educated. He has done ITI. He has a good properties in Borivali. He was unmarried. Remember, he's 56-year-old, while Saraswati was 32 years old. She was orphan. She has no relative of any sort. Shiv. She used to stay in the orphanage. In 2014, both of them came in contact with each other, and then they decided to stay in live-in relationship, and since past 10 years they were living together. At this particular flat, Shiv, they were staying in for last couple of years. But what led to this particular incident, what is the motive behind this entire case is still a question mark, and therefore the police have got the custody of the accused till 16 June. The accused is sent to the police custody, and they will be questioning, and they will be also taking the expert opinion of psychologists, because this is not a normal crime. Remember, Shiv, that for past 4 days the accused was inside this particular house, chopping off the body parts and boiling them and then disposing of. The cops and the neighbors said they could not even stand in that building. Such was the situation inside, and how the accused was staying there alone. Yeah, this is something very gruesome and chilling details. Therefore, the police will be taking help of psychoanalysis as well, and they will be questioning the accused for the next couple of days.
In fact, I'm going to get a criminal psychologist onto the show in just a couple of minutes from now. Saurabh, I do have a couple more questions for you, but before that, I just wanted to recap for our viewers, because it's still kind of sinking in that something like this can happen. And remember, we are barely a few months since the Shraddha Walkar murder. Grisly, similar details there as well. But every time something like this happens, it's the same kind of revulsion one feels, the disbelief that a human could do something like this. Take a look at how it all unfolded. The accused, Manoj Sahni, and his live-in partner allegedly got into an argument. We have no idea what the circumstances were, and we cannot judge or speculate. The accused, Manoj Sahni, then murdered his live-in partner after a fight. We don't know how he murdered her. The instrument of murder is not known at this point of time. That will be part of the investigation. He then allegedly dismembered her body with a tree cutter, an axe, which was found. It has been recovered in the apartment. He then allegedly boiled the body parts of Saraswati to avoid the stench and to get the flesh off the bone, as Saurabh was just telling us. The body parts were then stored in buckets, which is where a lot of the blood was found. And then, according to the Mumbai police, body parts were also disposed of in part by feeding them to stray dogs or throwing them into drains. Saurabh, just wanting to know, you said that that Manoj Sahni and Saraswati had met in 2014 and they lived in since that time. What did they do? What was their profession? Do we know what they did for a living?
So, well, Shiv, Manoj is from a good family. That is what the police officials are telling us. In fact, he owns few flats, not just one, but few flats in posh area of Borivali. And he was working in a ration shop since 2014. Now, the woman, Saraswati Vaidya, who was 32 years old, but 10 years back, she used to every day visit this particular ration shop for bringing some goods. Now, Saraswati is an orphan. I recently spoke to a very senior police officer. He was saying that she does not have any relative, and therefore nobody is going to claim the body as well, and therefore we might have to do the final rites of Saraswati. So Saraswati had no one. She was staying, and she was brought up in an orphanage in Borivali itself. So while she used to go to the ration shop, Shiv, they both got in touch with each other. In 2014, they decided that they should not get married, but they should start living in a live-in relationship. Remember, the accused Manoj is 56 years old. He also is not married till now, and both decided to stay in Borivali. But in 2017, they shifted to Mira Road. What we have been also told that Manoj is educated ITI. He has done the course of ITI, and he was doing some odd job, and also Saraswati was doing some odd job. But the most important part right now, I would like to tell our viewers in today that Manoj had few family members and Saraswati did not have anyone, and therefore what was going within the house, what was going inside this particular family, it will be very difficult to be known until and unless Manoj speaks up in front of police.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I'm guessing that most of that aspect of it will only come out during the interrogation of Manoj. He is in custody. He apparently tried to get away, but he is in custody with the Mumbai police, and I imagine that the interrogation has already started. You know, one part of what Saurabh just told us is very interesting. Because of the grisly nature of this crime, the investigators, the police, will have to enlist the services of criminal psychologists to better understand how something like this could happen. So here on India Today, we have the privilege of being joined by Dr. Jayanti Datta. She's a very well-known criminal psychologist. Dr. Datta, Good to have you with us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
You know, I know these are very complex and nuanced issues, ma'am, so I don't want to even for a moment think that there are any easy, packageable answers. But from your many years of experience, and I'm sure you've dealt with cases like this as well in the past, what would be your assessment of something like this, ma'am? Mumbai, middle class, couple, no criminal history whatsoever, no apparent tension. We don't know what happened in the house, but at least no indicators of any kind of violent behavior of this kind. What do you make of it, ma'am?
See, these kind of heinous crimes comes from your very organized planning and overconfidence about your ability to get away with it. Now, when you see these kind of things happening in media, that gets more strengthened, that, well, these are the ways. Mind you, all these criminal propensities, there are perpetrators who wait and hang on to these minute details of modus operandi, and they don't hesitate. They feel they can get away with it. Now you see the advancement. Here in Shraddha's case, those parts were thrown. Here, the man has gone one step further. He's boiled it in the cooker to ensure that, there is no possibility for any identification, and he's feeding them to the dogs. Now, this remorseless, these kind of mindless, gruesome things one can give or get to this kind of a thing only when he is living through this day in and day out. It's not just once, you out of rage you did it. No, these are all very planned things, and these are minute details you will find out. I teach interrogation to the officers, and I'm sure if the interrogation is done properly and we take into consideration the kinesics of the perpetrator, very often they're very clever, and unfortunately they are also very educated sometimes and intelligent. So their deliberation of the details are also very well organized. But the kinesics give away. So if we do the videography, which I'm sure the officers will do it, and you will be able to get through certain, breakthrough things because this man might not have done this for the first time. The smaller amount of crimes, they have been doing it on a day-to-day basis, and they get away with it. And that's how the intensity, the confidence of giving end to this kind of barbaric murdering and then carrying it on comes. They have no remorse. They don't have any feeling that they have done something bad. Because of this remorselessness, because of this ability of the criminals to dissociate themselves with the people, with the victim they kill. So their emotional thing is just a facade, they just tell it. And they just don't have that kind of bonding with anyone for that matter.
But Dr. Datta, I have a small query to you make based on what you just said. Why do you say, Dr. Datta, that this doesn't appear to be something that was done in a fit of rage? Is it not possible that I am not a lawyer or a forensic scientist, but you know much better than me. I just wanted to be clear about that. Why do you say it's not possible for it to be, and it has to be premeditated?
See, the modus operandi, he had to have the cutter, and he has already made up a story that this woman had committed a suicide. Now, all these things, you see the bucket, you see the plan which he's been carrying on. He was so confident that, nobody will be able to raise a finger, because all of them, if you see, they have certain commonalities. They use the perfumes, intense this thing, so that they can dispel the stench. Similarly, they carry on with their daily routine as if nothing has happened. And they enter. The saddest part of my realization is they all live in our communities. You can't identify who is capable of this kind of a pathological, heinous butchery, because they are one of us. And it's very difficult to find out. See, for Shraddha's case, he was in the community. And, Unfortunately, in the metropoles, nowadays nobody has the time to find out what the other person is doing. So they are
Very
more
true.
confident. They get away with it. And my complaint is we have the laws, but the implementation takes years. See,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
Nirbaya's card, 8 years. Shraddha's case, we don't know how long we'll fight. And when you have these kind of offenses committed, if you don't give a hardline statement that this is the punishment and we will not wait, we have the evidences, we have the proof, your forensic evidences will be good enough to, give the punishment to this kind of people, this kind of perpetrator.
Yes.
Unless and until this is done, it will continue. Because
Dr.
the perpetrator, yes.
Dr.
Yes,
Datta,
please.
one final question, if I may, you mentioned the Shraddha Walkar case. There are some, persons in the Mumbai police who don't want to be identified because the investigation has just started, who are saying that this man who killed his live-in partner, was aware of the Shraddha Walkar case, which is understandable. Everybody was watching the news those days, and I'm sure because there was blanket national media coverage of the Shraddha Walkar case. Explain to us and our viewers, Dr. Datta, how that also plays a role. People are watching, the modus operandi of other killers and are becoming aware. The reason I'm asking that also is out of concern because we as media also cover these things in great detail. Is that also a factor, ma'am?
No, I don't think so. Had the media not covered it, probably it will not be brought to the notice of the public.
Yes,
it
that's
will
true.
go unnoticed, We are able to render justice. We are able to book this kind of offenses or perpetrator because of the media.
Glad to hear that, yes.
I appreciate that. But to delay these kind of punishments, the perpetrator gets an idea. See, their superego. You said they will be taking help of the psychoanalyst. The superego component, which is a component of your persona, which tells you, it doesn't mean that none of us are really having that kind of criminal propensity, maybe not to that intensity, but we don't get into the offensive mode because of the superego dictates. Don't do this, this is right, this is wrong. In these kind of cases, their superego is very, very weak. And they filter this information, the other person has done this, so I will do a better job than what has been done in my previous case.
Yeah.
Look at this. So this is not only chopping of the body, keeping it in the refrigerator happened in Delhi in another case also, in case of Nikki. So they have taken this notice, they have taken this lesson that you can chop off the body, keep it in the refrigerator,
Very scary.
dispose it off at your own
Dr. Datta, that kind of information is also, I'm just trying to, this is so disturbing because, disposing of a body, I imagine must be difficult. It's not easy to get rid of a human body. Chopping up a body, if you are not criminally inclined, must be a traumatizing, thing to have to do anyway. So, with access to the internet and the media and all manner of material online, I'm sure there must be guidebooks on how to do this kind of thing, criminal activity. So it's scary that even someone who may not have a criminal background has access to all this information.
Yes, but that mindset is always there,
Yeah, that's
everybody cannot follow it up. If you have that mindset, if you go into Shraddha's case, he used to go to certain sites, take the lessons, see how did he get to know that these are the chemicals which I should be using. This is the shop where from I should buy the murder weapon.
Okay.
This is the shop where from I said that, Shraddha's case, it was not just the murder, it's the money angle also. And in this case also, I will say, you said that two people are there, who's been coming and meeting him, etc. I think the interrogation should also take them into the consideration, find out what kind of mentality this man had. Because this cannot happen all of a sudden, This kind of, yes, of course.
Absolutely.
There must have been a planning, there must have been some kind of offensive outbreaks, which they get away with. And then
Dr. Datta, you've given us a great deal to think about. Some of it is, most of what you've told us is something that is of a very disturbing nature, because this is unfamiliar to most of us. You as someone who, operates in this field, obviously this is your subject, and I hope to hear more from you as we cover this story going forward. I'm glad you said that media attention is for the good, because the public needs to know about these things. But at the back of one's mind, one also worries about all of these details out in the public domain and the modus operandi of killers. We will keep in touch with you, Dr. Datta. I very much appreciate your time and your expertise on this gruesome story. Thank you very much for joining us. Well, the gruesome murders of Shraddha Walkar, Saraswati Vaidya are not isolated cases. In India's Silicon city, Bengaluru, a young software engineer, Akanksha, was brutally murdered by her boyfriend, a Delhi software engineer. Similar in some ways on the lines of the Shraddha Walkar and Saraswati murder, Akanksha and her partner Arpit got into an argument, leading to the accused strangling her and then hanging her to death. This was in Bengaluru. We will continue to update you on all of those stories right here on India Today. We don't do these stories as a one-off, as you've noticed. Up next, well, this is amazing. An Department of Intelligence whistleblower has pointed at the United States government and said they have in their possession an intact alien UFO. Is this another quack, or does this man's history and credibility suggest something else? Full story next.
Maharashtra's Kolhapur on the boil. Hindu groups go on the rampage, vandalize shops and damaging vehicles. The violent protests were brought under control after the police lathi charged the crowd.
पुलिस ने जो जमाव था उस पर अश्रु धुएं के नलखंडे डाले थे, अश्रु धुएं के बौछारें भी डाले थे, साथ ही लाठी चार्ज भारी मात्रा में यहाँ पर होते हुए नजर आया था.
The Hindu outfits were protesting a WhatsApp status put by 3 Muslim teenagers on Tuesday in praise of the 17th century Mughal ruler Aurangzeb, who had fought many battles with Maratha icon Chhatrapati Shivaji. The WhatsApp status hailed Aurangzeb as the true king. Earlier, posters of Aurangzeb were raised during a procession on Sunday in Ahmednagar. The police booked 4 people, including the city unit chief of Asaduddin Owaisi's party AIMIM, who organized the rally for allegedly inciting violence. The Maharashtra government has made it clear no forgiveness would be granted to anyone invoking the name of Aurangzeb.
मैं खुद पर्सनली अधिकारियों के साथ संपर्क में हूँ और कानून व्यवस्था बनाए रखने के लिए सभी लोगों ने सहयोग करने की आवश्यकता है, ऐसा आह्वान भी मैं करता हूँ. और राज्य में सभी लोग शांति से रहे, या राज्य में शांति रहे, अमन रहे, इसके लिए सभी लोगों ने सहयोग करने की आवश्यकता है.
महाराष्ट्र में अचानक कुछ जिलों में औरंगजेब की औलादें पैदा हुई है, जो औरंगजेब का फोटो दिखाते हैं, औरंगजेब का स्टेटस रखते हैं, और इसके कारण एक दुर्भावना समाज में पैदा हो रही है. कौन जानबूझकर महाराष्ट्र में कानून व्यवस्था खराब हो और महाराष्ट्र का नाम खराब हो, ये करने की कोशिश कर रहा है, ये भी हम ढूंढ के निकालेंगे.
The opposition NCP has accused the Eknath Shinde government of failing to ensure law and order in the state.
होम मिनिस्ट्री के पास एक इंटेलिजेंस का रिपोर्ट आता है, तो इनका इंटेलिजेंस रिपोर्ट इनको नहीं बताता क्या होने वाला है. इतने दंगे जब से इनकी सरकार आई है, दंगे ही हुए. इसके पहले इतने दंगे कभी नहीं हुए इस राज्य में. तो ऑब्वियसली ये फेलियर ऑफ होम मिनिस्ट्री है ना.
Aurangzeb, who expanded the Mughal territory nearly to the entirety of the Indian subcontinent, has become the latest political flashpoint in Maharashtra politics. The Mughal emperor, seen as a divisive figure, is accused of targeting Hindus during his rule. Bureau Report, India Today.
Markets have bounced back and within striking distance of all-time highs. What do you think has caused this flourishing out of relief in the market? Is it because some of the global headwinds have receded, or do you think there is greater confidence in the earnings story now?
No, so I think Udyan, 22 obviously was a very challenging year, and the first quarter we started with optimism, and then you had the Silicon Valley Bank and some of the other banks going belly up, and on top of it we had this whole concern about the debt ceiling. I think as we move forward, second half, according to us, is going to be pretty decent in terms of positive news flow. One is inflation is surely out of the way. We have already seen the peak, and just by base effect, I think the second half, starting June itself, we'll start to see inflation surprise positively with the headline numbers coming in much lower. And the same trajectory would therefore be repeated on the interest rate side. And I think now with the debt ceiling also issue at least temporarily behind us, I think the risk off which we were seeing is now back to risk on. Technology companies, particularly the large tech, have seen a big rebound. And I think generally investors are now getting more confident that the second half of 23 should be much better for the global economy than what we have seen over the last 18 months. So I think it's a combination of a lot of things. And obviously India has benefited out of it. We have seen flows, come back in a vengeance. I think May will be almost a $5 billion positive FII flows after a long, long time. And again, our indication with speaking to a lot of global allocators is one of optimism as far as flows into India is concerned.
Mention the elections, Sunil. At some point as we get towards winter, I think it will become more and more of an issue, at least a talking point for the market. How do you see that affecting market performance over the next 12 months or so?
So traditionally in the run-up to the elections, the markets tend to do well. This time should be no different. Obviously, the markets are going to debate what is going to happen, and obviously the one thing which the markets would love is continuity, and that seems to be also a big probability. But elections are elections; one doesn't know. So I think towards the end of the calendar year 23, which is when most probably the dates of the elections and all will start to be speculated of when it is going to happen, and all the permutations and combinations of who's going to align with whom will start to play in. I think there might be a little bit of nervous maybe for
Viewer, do you believe in UFOs? Do you believe that we here on Earth are not alone? Well, get this. Here's the very latest from that world. An American Air Force veteran, very respected in the intelligence community, has blown the whistle on the US government, becoming the latest in an entire community of former officials to do so. He now claims that the US government has been collecting intact extraterrestrial spacecraft or UFOs for decades as part of a retrieval program. It has allegedly been trying to keep a total secret. The big question, here's a report.
Shimmering lights darting across the horizon. Otherworldly encounters captivate human minds. Their allure weaving its way into our collective consciousness, inspiring countless tales of wonder, fear and fascination. Reports of UFO sighting have also surged across the globe. Now, an American Air Force veteran has blown the whistle on the US government. 36-year-old David Grush has alleged it concealed a program with evidence of non-human origin crafts. In other words, the former intelligence official has claimed that the US government was in possession of intact and partially intact alien vehicles. Grush left the government in April after a 14-year career in US intelligence. In an interview, he claimed that in his role within America's defense establishment, he was trusted with some of the government's most intimate secrets. And those secrets, according to Grush, include spacecraft from quite a number of other species. So far, the US has only acknowledged UFO sightings.
There's a plane at the bottom that's moving across the screen, and now there are 3 out.
An official assessment released in 2021 confirmed that 143 reports of unidentified aerial phenomena since 2004 that could not be explained. But Grush has claimed that actual recoveries of unidentified spacecraft have been shielded from congressional oversight. The White House has dodged the question regarding the whistleblower's claims.
This whistleblower report alleging that the U.S. military has been retrieving craft of non-human origin for at least several decades. Are we alone? And if we were not, would you even tell us?
I would refer that question to the Department of Defense and let them answer that question for you. Go ahead.
In a statement, NASA insists that it has not found any credible evidence of extraterrestrial life and that there is no evidence that unidentified aerial phenomena which has been spotted are in fact extraterrestrial. Scientists exploring the solar system and beyond are helping us answer the fundamental question whether we are alone in the universe. Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, now I hate to be a killjoy, but we have to stick to facts when we talk about things of which there is no proof. So it's important to note that UFO sightings are often attributed to natural or human-made phenomena such as misidentifications of aircraft, weather balloons, drones and other aerial objects. Keeping that in view, however, India hasn't been left behind in UFO sightings. The earliest one dates back, if you can imagine, to 1951, just 4 years after independence. But more recently, in Gujarat in 2004, multiple witnesses reported seeing a series of strange lights in the sky over the districts of Kutch and Ahmedabad. The lights were described as bright and moving in formations. The Indian Air Force launched an investigation but could not determine the cause of those sightings. 3 years later, in 2007, residents of Bankura district in Bengal reported seeing a mysterious object in the sky. They described a large glowing object with flashing lights that hovered in the air for several minutes before disappearing. The incident received huge media attention at that time. There were prime-time debates. Nobody finally knew what that was, though there was speculation that it was probably some kind of a weather phenomenon. In 2011, residents in several Delhi neighborhoods in Delhi, in the national capital, reported seeing a triangular-shaped object in the night sky. Some said it was Venus. Witnesses claimed that the object emitted bright lights and moved silently. The sightings lasted for a few minutes before the object disappeared. The incident was captured on video by some witnesses and circulated widely at that time on social media. In 2012, villagers in the Jajpur district of Odisha reported seeing a mysterious flying object. Witnesses described a silver disc-shaped object that hovered in the sky for some time before flying away at high speed. The incident drew a lot of attention from local authorities. Again, no conclusive explanation was found. 2013, multiple sightings of UFOs were reported in various locations in Rajasthan. Witnesses described seeing glowing spherical objects in the sky that moved in unusual patterns. Some people said it were drones. Some people said it was likely helicopters from a nearby airbase. The sightings caused a stir in the local media. Again, no definitive explanation was found. Well, the latest finger pointing as far as the existence of UFOs is concerned is the one that we just brought you from the United States. Well, for the first time ever, NASA's UFO panel held a public meeting. While this panel of scientists and experts have not ruled out aliens or military adversaries in space, the UFO panel does indeed emphasize that there is simply not enough evidence to prove extraterrestrial activity of any kind and any sightings to this day. They deny having in their possession any UFOs. Here's a report.
Destigmatizing UFO reporting.
The current data collection efforts regarding UAPs are unsystematic.
Astrobiologists, data scientists, planetary scientists, oceanographers, and policy experts. A team of 16 specialists assembled by NASA in October last year to work on UFOs, focusing its aperture on the unexplained mystery sightings.
Oh my God. We have an unidentified impact.
Drones are mobile. Keep your tech out of there.
A subject usually restricted to science fiction or to the secretive domain of intelligence gathering, now discussed candidly.
This is a newly released video. You'll notice there are two dots moving back and forth.
The NASA panel on UFOs, professionally called Unidentified Aerial Phenomena or UAPs, held its first public meeting last Wednesday.
To understand UAP better, targeted data collection, thorough data curation, and robust analyses are needed.
The NASA's UFO panel held this 4-hour session in Washington for final deliberations before the team publishes its report by late July. In a nutshell, it's not yet satisfied with available data on mystery objects spotted high up in the skies.
The current existing data and eyewitness reports alone are insufficient to provide conclusive evidence about the nature and origin of every UAP event. They're often uninformative due to lack of quality control and data curation.
The NASA team would not jump to conclusions. It made it clear unexplained sightings don't necessarily mean they can't be explained with the right tools and technology to identify them, and that there is no evidence yet they are associated with extraterrestrial life.
Only a very small percentage of UAP reports display signatures that could reasonably be described as anomalous.
Limited data privacy regulations pose significant hurdles in NASA's investigations of the unidentified objects.
The majority of unidentified objects reported to Aero and in our holdings demonstrate mundane characteristics of readily explainable sources.
Not much in hand to explain the unexplained, but still a milestone in breaking the taboos around UFOs. No debunking of the unidentified sightings anymore. Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, throughout human history, the question of whether alien life exists beyond our planet has captivated the imaginations of scientists, philosophers, dreamers, citizens. Let's leave aside UFOs and UFO sightings for a moment, viewer. Because while definitive evidence of extraterrestrial life remains elusive, scientific discoveries over a century and statistical analysis strongly suggest that the existence of life beyond Earth is not only plausible, but statistically almost definite, almost 100%. Let me walk you through some compelling reasons why the existence of alien life forms is massively supported just by what we know so far. For starters, just the sheer vastness of the universe. The observable universe is an incomprehensibly vast expanse containing up to, listen carefully to this number, 200 billion galaxies with at least 200 billion trillion stars. That's right, 200 billion trillion stars. To think in this colossal expanse of space that we are the only life is not only philosophical hubris, but scientifically and statistically nearly impossible. Now, given the vast number of potentially habitable planets, statistically speaking, it becomes increasingly improbable that Earth is the only planet to harbor life. But then we have something called the Fermi paradox, which is the discrepancy between the apparently high likelihood of advanced extraterrestrial life versus the total lack so far of any conclusive evidence of it. But bear with me as we go a little deeper into the evidence we have, pointing to the tantalizing near certainty that we are not alone. Let's talk about exoplanet discoveries. Over the past few decades, advancements in observational techniques have allowed astronomers to detect and confirm the existence of thousands of exoplanets. NASA has a database of 5,338 confirmed exoplanets in 4,001 confirmed planetary systems and nearly 10,000, 9,432 exoplanet candidates waiting to be confirmed. Now, many of these exoplanets orbit within their star's habitable zone, where conditions could support the existence of liquid water, which, as you know, is a key ingredient for life as we know it. So immediately, this increasing number of exoplanet discoveries further strengthens the statistical case for alien life. Second, as our understanding of planetary formation improves, we have come to appreciate that the concept of a habitable zone, very much like our Earth, is not unique to our solar system. A habitable zone refers to the region around a star where conditions are conducive to the presence of liquid water. Now, the discovery of exoplanets within these habitable zones indicates that these regions are not rare occurrences, increasing, once again, the statistical likelihood of life-supporting environments beyond Earth. Third, the existence of what are called extremophiles on Earth. You probably know that life on Earth has shown remarkable adaptability, with organisms thriving in super extreme environments. Earth has organisms that can survive in extreme heat like volcanoes, extreme cold like the Arctic, acidity like the bottom of the ocean, or high pressure environments, suggesting that life may exist in similar extreme environments elsewhere in the universe. We don't have to think of it just in terms of the salubrious environs of what we see on Earth. Now, these discoveries imply that life might not be limited to Earth-like conditions, expanding the potential habitats for extraterrestrial life. Fourth, the detection of organic molecules such as amino acids in various astronomical bodies and within meteorites suggest that the building blocks of life are widespread throughout the observable universe. These molecules have been found in regions as diverse as interstellar clouds and comets. The presence of organic carbon molecules hugely strengthens the statistical case for the existence of life beyond Earth, because these, viewer, are the building blocks of life. And if they exist everywhere in the known universe, then that increases the possibility of life. Finally, something called panspermia. Let me explain what that is. Panspermia is the hypothesis that life could have originated on one planet and spread to others, either through natural processes or via technological means. Now, if panspermia is a valid mechanism, then the chances of life existing elsewhere in the universe increases exponentially. Microbes, bacteria could survive the journey through space within asteroids, comets, and other interstellar vehicles, increasing the probability of life's dissemination throughout this beautiful cosmos. Now, this picture I've hopefully painted here is that there are enormously compelling reasons to believe that alien life exists, whether or not all those allegations of a UFO in the US are true or not. But then, as the Fermi paradox so frustratingly articulates, why haven't we come across any substantial direct evidence of it? So the next time you hear about UFO sightings, remember that from time immemorial, we as humans have sat on the cusp of that most fundamental question of all. But honestly, which is more terrifying, that we are not alone or that we are? Thanks so much for watching 5 Live. 6 p.m. Prime with Akshita is up next. Minister Jaishankar is in full form, lashing out, saying India cannot understand why Canada is giving space to terrorists shameful enough to dramatize the murder of Indira Gandhi for their political ends.
Elon Musk's Tesla has agreed to the Indian government's demand to set up a vendor base in India. Currently, more than half of Tesla's global production takes place in China. My colleague Chetan Bhutani joining us on the story. Chetan, does it mean Tesla is a step closer to shifting part of its business out of China and into India? And by when could we see this happen?
Well, that's right. Elon Musk's Tesla could soon make in India for the world, as top sources in the government have confirmed to Business Today TV that the company has in principle agreed to start manufacturing in India. In fact, no formal proposal has been signed as of now, but yes, by the way of mutual understanding, the company has given a green light to the government's, in fact, mutual persuasion that happened last month. Sources have also confirmed to Business Today TV that Tesla will set up a vendor place in India. But however, the government is of the opinion that the company should probably start manufacturing and, in fact, assembling electric cars in India, and then probably move on to set up a vendor base. In fact, last month, the officials of Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, Department of Heavy Industries, the Prime Minister's office, they all met Tesla officials just to take a rain check at how India is serious about this electric vehicle revolution in India, and how the country in fact wants to go out. So in fact, my sources have also told me that the government in fact could sweeten the production linked incentive scheme 2.0 that would be coming up to ensure Tesla also gets some benefits. In fact, it has now in fact said that they are not anymore seeking demand for an import duty cut. But in fact, you should remember that owing to different geopolitical situations in China, the company has more than half of its production.
Chetan, will Tesla get concessions from the Indian government for setting up a base here?
The government is of the opinion that if Tesla does something and starts manufacturing, not out of the way, not a green carpet would be rolled out for Tesla, but yes, the government is looking at a production-linked incentive scheme specifically for electric vehicles and its components, because the FAME scheme is almost coming to an end, and various factors have contributed towards its ending. But yes, a PLI 2.0 is in the works, which probably could benefit Tesla.
Forecast now. Delhi, maximum 42 and minimum 28 degrees. Mumbai, maximum 34 and minimum 28 degrees. Kolkata, maximum 41 and minimum 30 degrees. Bangalore, maximum 32 and minimum 24 degrees. Chennai, maximum 37 and minimum 30 degrees. Hyderabad, maximum 40 and minimum 25 degrees.
Though not the Maharaja, IndiGo is still the undisputed king of Indian skies. And the airline with the ubiquitous blue livery is ensuring its holds onto its crown. IndiGo is reportedly spooling its engines to launch a 500 aircraft order. It would make it the biggest order till date from India, larger than the 470 aircraft ordered by Air India earlier this year. IndiGo is eyeing 500 single-aisle Airbus A320 family aircraft with a sticker price of more than $50 billion. The final price, according to analysts, could be nearly half if discounts for bulk deals are included. IndiGo is also planning on buying 25 wide-body aircraft, for which Airbus and Boeing are still in contention with their A330 Neo and 787 models. IndiGo is already one of the largest Airbus customers, operating 308 Airbus-made aircraft. Nearly 500 aircraft are still to be delivered. There are fears that the two huge aircraft orders by IndiGo and Air India could skew the demand-supply dynamics in the Indian markets. Indian carriers now have the second largest order book for aircraft, behind only the United States. The past few months have seen air traffic rise to zoom past pre-COVID levels as travelers return with a vengeance. IndiGo had a market share of nearly 58% in April, with Vistara and Air India at a distant second and third positions. Go First